Hey guys, how's it going? I'm more fatty. Getting into my league versus league drives here real quick. Before I get into them, I'm going to switch in my offensive coaches, just to give my offense a little bit more of an advantage while I drive on them. Going to switch in Andy Reid, who boosts long pass, and I'm also going to switch in Jason Garrett, who gives a run boost. And already have lined up here who I'm going to play. This should be a pretty, not very tough matchup. They are ranked in the top 1,000, but 700s. Looks like I'm going to be playing this guy, Al Nemias, the fourth. So I'm going to scout him real quick. I always like to scout the defensive coverage. Okay, Ray Lewis is really good in coverage. Really good, awareness and all that stuff out there. Jamie Collins not really leveled up enough yet to be a huge threat. His speed is okay, but his coverage stats are okay as well. He's a good all-around outside linebacker, especially for a 3-4. Jabal Shared, this is not optimal for him. He has this guy out there right outside linebacker. I'm going to be throwing to the right a lot. This guy shouldn't be able to cover anybody out there. His speed is okay, but his coverage is bad. His awareness is bad. He's more of a pass rushing linebacker. And I think, in my opinion, the pass rushing linebacker should be on the left side, not on the right side. Because it's just important to have a good coverage linebacker on the side that everybody throws to the most, which is the tight end side. He does have Khalil Mack and Julius Pepper, so he has the same defensive ends as me, but they're lower in level, so they are pretty slow still. So, the defensive ends that give me the most trouble are ones with high speed. Neither of them are that fast yet. Eric Reid, he does make plays. His awareness is still kind of low, play rec low, coverage stats kind of low. His speed's above average for 91. And then Byron Jones, also good speed, bad awareness, good coverage, bad play rec. So shouldn't have too much trouble with this guy here. And yeah, he does have two decent corners at cornerback 1 and cornerback 2. They have pretty good speed. And, they're all right overall, but I don't see us having much trouble here, so we're going to get right into the drives. Just going to turn up my brightness a little bit. There we go. All right, so I'm going to be calling my first play of the first series from the right hash, and I'm going to go with spread slot flags. And he does not have this counter. Counter for it is a dime, so I'm going to read the coverage. What I've really been noticing a lot is when I guess this play is not flip, but a lot of time when I flip plays, the defense will flip their base coverage from a 3-4 to a 4-3, or their base defense. So the Bears are normally a 4-3, but they are lined up in a 3-4, but this play isn't even flipped. So this is kind of an example of what I've been talking about a lot recently, is like 4-3 defenses are lining up a lot in 3-4s and vice versa for 3-4s lining up in 4-3s. But that's just kind of a side note here. I'm going to be reading the coverage on the left side. If it's any type of zone that's not deep zone, it's going to Moss. If it's a deep zone or man, I'm going to get it to Adams. So it's man coverage. Adams is wide open. Able to get the first down there, and while we also test for our first play. Next play I'm going to test for is post corners. Counter for this is nickel, so he might have this countered. As long as it's not critically countered, I can get it to Gronk in the middle of the field. And if it's not countered, I'm going to roll out to the right. It is countered. It's a soft counter, so we know we have that here going for us as well moving forward. So we have two plays that we've tested for here. And what I'm going to do here is I'll test for the third play on the next first down. I'm going to call trips tight end wide receiver corner. Counter for this is nickel, so we know he doesn't have this counter. The read here is going to either Gronk or Falk, depending on the coverage. So Gronk's going to be wide open there. Oh, what was that? Okay, well, it went through his hands. That's pretty frustrating because he was wide open. I've never seen that happen before. That's the first time for me. He's wide open. I wish the quarterback would lead them more. Too often when you run those out routes and slant routes, they go back to catch it on their back hip, so the quarterback kind of throws a little bit behind them. And that's kind of the animation you get there and what. So we're going to go ahead and look at the plays that I've called so far. And I've only called 3 so far. So normally here I would love to call a run. But alright, I'm just going to, this isn't ideal, but I'm just going to take a little bit of a gamble here and call a run. And we know it's not counter because 3-4 is a counter for this, so perfect. On third and medium, third and long, I like to call runs. Normally, I want to know whether or not it's counter, but since we're already in this situation, kind of the second series here, I'm just going to, I took a little bit of a risk. We got double counter. We don't see that hard counter too often. So this is ideal. He's in a dime, and I should be able to pound it for at least close to a first down. All right, that's perfect there. We get the first down on third and long. Now, we also know that we have that play now in our back pocket, so that's perfect. And let's see here. Yeah, I want to test for one more. So I'm going to test for halfback option. He also doesn't have this counter. Counter for this is a nickel, and it's the same coverage counter for motion cross and trips tight end wide receiver corner. Those are all nickel counters, and the play for that's 9 Velcro. It's the easiest play to break in the game. The defense drops 9 people into coverage, into zone coverage, but this isn't countered, so, and it's going to be man. You see how his free safety comes up to the line to try and cover Moss. It's highly likely that Moss is going to burn that safety, but I'm not even going to look there because it's risky to throw when the safety's trailing the coverage. Normally in real life, that's ideal, but not in this game. In this game, it's the reverse. I want the safety actually in front of my man when I throw it to him. So depending on the coverage here, I'm either going to go to Gronk, and it looks like it's going to be man. So because I know pre-snap, it looks like it's going to be man because the safety's coming up to the line of scrimmage. There's 2 reasons why the safety will press the line of scrimmage. Either he's going to blitz or he's playing man coverage. And it looks like he's probably going to play man, so that kind of gives me a read ahead of time that it's likely going to be man coverage. And whenever it's man, I love hitting Falk on this play because usually he can burn the linebacker trying to cover him. He does have Ray Lewis covering him, so it would be interesting to see how well Ray Lewis can cover him. I think at this point in the game, Ray Lewis is probably the best coverage middle linebacker. So it'll be interesting to see there, but either I'm going to go to Falk or I'm going to go to Adams and maybe Crabtree as well because Crabtree's route's pretty good against man. So I'm going to be reading Falk, Crabtree, then Adams. And it's going to be quick because he might be blitzing. He is blitzing. I'm going to scramble out actually. And yeah, he gets no... So actually that's rare that the linebacker covers the halfback that good. So that's something I do have to note is when Ray Lewis is out there in coverage, it's not a good matchup anymore. Usually it's an awesome matchup with like any other middle linebacker in the game at this point. Falk will exploit them and usually burn them on coverage, but not Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis is one of the few that's not the case. So we are 2nd and 10 here. And second and 10, I'm going to call fullback middle. And the counter for fullback middle is, it's either 4-3 or 3-4. So let's just double check real quick. It is 4-3, so possible that this is countered. If it's countered, I can get it to the fullback usually, which is Collins. And if it's not countered, I'm going to be reading Gronk or Collins, similar to trips tight end wide receiver corner. It's not countered. No one's open really though. Gronk was open at the end of that play, but that's not ideal either. So let's see what plays we have open here. Should be able to call. Yeah, so I can call spread slot flags again here, and I'm actually going to flip it this time. And we know it's not counter because counter is a dime for this, so we know he doesn't already have it hard countered, but possible it could always be possible that it can be soft countered, but since it's a nickel, we know it's not going to be soft countered. So the read here is I'm either going to go to Crabtree or Gronk, depending on the coverage. If it's zone, I'm getting it to Gronk, and if it's man, I'm going to get it to Crabtree. So it is man, Crabtree's wide open. And I got it to him a little bit late. If I got it to him sooner, we definitely could have got the first down there. And now I'm in a 4th and short. Trying to think what's the best play I can call here. I'm going to go with trips tight end wide receiver corner again. And we know he doesn't have this counter. It counters a nickel, so I'm going to be reading either Gronk or Falk. I do have to note I don't have a scramble at this point, I don't think. I don't think I have one left, so I'm going to have to get it off a little bit quicker. So I'm going to be passing from the pocket here. Falk's open there, able to get it the first down. I'm going to test for another run here on first down. And he doesn't have this countered because the counter for it is a nickel. Let's just double check, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, the counter's a nickel for a trips tight end halfback counter, so we know he doesn't have a counter, so that's good. We're able to know 2 good runs here that he won't have countered. Yeah, I just had to pause the video real quick. My screen, for some reason, like dirt accrues on the screen. I think it's because it's so dry. Just the air here is so dry in Southern California. So I did pause it and wipe off my screen, but while I was wiping off the screen, like the screen rotated to the other way, so it's going to kind of mess up the video. So after this first drive, I'm going to just stop the video and start a new one for the second 2 drives. And yeah, so we know he doesn't have those runs. I mean, the game plan's pretty wide open. I'm going to call a short pass here. I'm going to flip, empty trip, shallow cross. And my goal is going to be to get it to Falk going across the field. So this is good because we have a bad coverage linebacker lined up against Falk, which is ideal. I like this formation a lot because usually you get your halfback. You're either going to get your halfback or tight end in favorable matchups against linebackers and safeties. And, you know, at least one of the two will be open if it's man. And then if it's zone, you can just read the zone and get it to either Gronk or Falk. Here, if it's man, I'm going to get it to Falk because the linebacker shouldn't be able to cover him. And if it's zone, I'm going to get it to Gronk. And it is man, and we see the linebacker isn't able to cover him, and Falk drops the ball. So I'm going to go ahead and run the ball here. I'm going to flip weak eye double counter and run it. Counter is 3-4. We know he doesn't have it countered. Able to get the first down. I was trying to read if I... So weak eye double counter, like, sometimes it's better to cut it up and go to the right of that wide receiver blocking, and sometimes it's better to go outside. It depends on how the safety tries to pursue you. It looked like he was kind of over pursuing to the outside, which is why I cut it up. And I'm going to go with trip strong flood here. We know he doesn't have this counter. It's a nickel. I'm either going to get it to Gronk or Moss, and then my backup is Falk, depending on the coverage. So it's man coverage, and Moss is going to be wide open, and he drops it. All right. We are really experiencing a good amount of drops today. Pretty interesting. And I'm going to go with trips tight end wide receiver corner again. Reading either Gronk or Falk. Wow, these linebackers are really, really insane in coverage at the moment. I kind of forced that in there. I got pretty lucky there. I shouldn't have thrown that. I should have threw it to Falk. But I got it in there anyways. All right, I'm going to stop the video here and start a new one for the next 2 drives.